Live happy life by this way. Do you ever feel like you're fighting a battle within yourself? A battle where your mind races with worries, your emotions take over, and you find yourself at the mercy of every circumstance around you? We all face it, this internal struggle that often leads us to chase after fleeting pleasures or react impulsively, only to feel empty and drained in the end. But what if I told you there's another way? A way to stop this chaos and truly find peace? What if you could become the master of your emotions, not the victim of them? Think about it. How often do you find yourself frustrated with something you can't control? A rude comment, a bad day at work, or a mistake you can't take back. Your mind tells you to react, to give in to anger or sadness, but then the weight of that reaction becomes your burden to carry. Could it be that the path to happiness lies not in controlling the world around us, but in controlling ourselves? It's not easy, but it is possible. There is a way to stop being controlled by external events and to start living with calm, purpose, and strength. A way that has been passed down for centuries, taught by the great philosophers of ancient times. This is the path of Stoicism, a philosophy that can change the way you think, live, and ultimately, how you find happiness. Before we dive deeper into this transformative journey, let me ask you, have you ever felt overwhelmed by your emotions? Do you feel like the world is constantly throwing obstacles in your path, and you're always just reacting to them? If your answer is yes, then stay with us. We'll show you how to take control of your mind, how to train yourself to face adversity with calmness and strength. Welcome to Stoic Greetings, where we explore the timeless wisdom of Stoicism and help you master the art of living a purposeful, happy life. If you're ready to transform your life and take back control, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% subscribe. Join the 0.2% who are ready to make a real change. Let's start this journey together. Now, let's explore the power of Stoicism and how it can guide you through the chaos and help you live a life of clarity and happiness. The tyranny of desire. Everywhere you look, people are chasing something: more money, a better job, a new car, the perfect relationship, the perfect body. It's as if life is one big race to get things, and once we get those things, we believe we will be happy. But have you ever stopped to wonder, does it really work that way? Does the next thing, the next goal, really bring lasting peace? Or are we just caught in a cycle, endlessly chasing something that's always just out of reach? The truth is, desire is one of the most powerful forces that controls our lives. We are constantly told to want more, to strive for more, to be more. And the more we desire, the more we become enslaved to that desire. We start to think that happiness can only come from satisfying these wants. But does it? The Stoics believe that desire is a trap. It pulls us away from living fully in the present moment and robs us of our peace. Every time we think we need something to be happy, we become a prisoner to that thing. Imagine for a moment, if you lived in a world where you didn't need anything outside of yourself to feel fulfilled, what would that world look like? When we desire things, we place our happiness in the hands of circumstances beyond our control. What happens when we don't get the promotion we wanted? What happens when the relationship doesn't work out? What happens when the thing we've been dreaming of slips through our fingers? These moments can leave us feeling empty, frustrated, and lost because we allowed ourselves to believe that our happiness depended on something external. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it simply: wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. This idea, that we don't need more, but less, is central to Stoic philosophy. It's not that we should stop desiring things altogether, but that we should learn to desire less. We should stop letting our desires control us. We should stop thinking that external things can complete us. The Stoics understood that true freedom lies in being free from the constant pull of desire. Think about the last time you were truly happy. Was it when you got something you wanted? Or was it when you were at peace with yourself, regardless of what you had or didn't have? It's often the simplest moments, sitting with a friend, watching the sunset, feeling the wind on your face, that bring us the deepest sense of contentment. And yet, we spend so much of our time chasing things that we forget how to enjoy these moments. Desire isn't inherently bad. It's what we do with it that matters. Desire can be a motivator. It can drive us to improve, to achieve, to grow. But when we let desire take control of our minds, we begin to suffer. It becomes an endless cycle. You get the thing you want, but the satisfaction fades, and you're left wanting more. This is how people become trapped in a loop of constant craving, never finding the contentment they seek. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, warned about the danger of becoming attached to external things. He said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." If we allow ourselves to become slaves to our desires, we give away our freedom. We stop being the masters of our lives and start being controlled by the things we want. We become ruled by things that don't even matter in the grand scheme of life. So, how do we break free from the tyranny of desire? The first step is awareness. We must understand that our desires are not who we are. We are not our possessions, our status, or our achievements. Who we are is something deeper, something that remains untouched by the external world. By recognizing this, we begin to detach from the things that we think will bring us happiness. We begin to see them for what they really are: temporary, fleeting, and ultimately empty. The second step is self-control. When we feel the urge to chase something, to get more, we must pause and ask ourselves, do I truly need this to be happy? Most of the time, the answer will be no. True happiness doesn't come from possessions or achievements. It comes from within. It comes from living a life of virtue, from being content with what we have, and from finding peace in the present moment. Let's consider this idea with a simple example. Imagine you are on a road trip. You've been driving for hours, and you're starting to feel tired. You see a rest stop up ahead and decide to take a break. You pull over, stretch your legs, and grab a snack. It feels good. But then you notice that the rest stop is in the middle of nowhere. There's no other stop for miles. You start to think, I'll stay here a little longer, but you know deep down that you won't be truly satisfied until you get back on the road, continuing your journey. In life, our desires are like that rest stop. They offer temporary comfort, but they can never give us lasting peace. They're not the final destination. If we stay too long in one place, we will miss the real journey, the journey to contentment, to fulfillment, to peace. So, how do we move forward? The Stoics teach us to focus on what we can control and let go of what we cannot. The only thing we truly control is our own mind, our own reactions, and our own desires. If we can learn to control our desires, to let go of the need for more, we begin to free ourselves. We stop being driven by external forces and start living from a place of inner strength. Desire may never fully disappear. It's a natural part of being human. But when we understand its nature and learn to master it, we stop being its slave. We begin to see the world not as a place where we must constantly chase after things, but as a place where we can live in harmony with ourselves, with what we have, and with what truly matters. The Stoic path isn't about denying the things we want. It's about realizing that we can be happy without them. It's about embracing life as it is, with all its imperfections, and finding peace in that acceptance. The more we practice this mindset, the more we realize that happiness doesn't lie in having more. It lies in wanting less and finding joy in the present moment. By understanding the tyranny of desire and learning to let go, we become freer, stronger, and more at peace. This is the path to true happiness, a happiness that is not dependent on the things we have, but on the strength we find within ourselves. Mastery over emotion, the quiet strength. Every day, we are presented with countless emotions. Some are simple, like joy when we see a friend or excitement when we achieve something small. But then, there are the heavier emotions, the ones that weigh us down, that create chaos in our minds. Anger, fear, jealousy, and frustration. These emotions rise quickly, like a storm, sweeping through our thoughts and actions. And before we know it, we've acted on them, said things we didn't mean, made decisions we regret. But what if we could stop this? What if we could learn not to be swept away by these emotions, but instead stand firm, unaffected by the turbulence that surrounds us? This is where Stoicism teaches us its most profound lesson. We do not have to be ruled by our emotions. In fact, we have the power to choose how we respond to everything that happens to us. This isn't about suppressing or ignoring emotions. It's about understanding them, controlling our reaction to them, and choosing a path of reason and calm. The Stoics believe that the key to true strength lies not in reacting impulsively to every emotion that arises, but in cultivating inner peace that remains unmoved by external events. Let's begin by examining what emotions are. Emotions are responses to external events or thoughts. They are natural, they arise from our perceptions, and they often feel overwhelming. However, emotions are not who we are, they are fleeting. The ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Think about it. Every time something goes wrong, whether it's a rude comment from someone, a failure in our work, or an unexpected change in our plans, we have a choice. We can choose to let that emotion take hold and control us, or we can choose to pause, reflect, and respond with calmness and reason. It's in this moment of pause that we find our true power. Mastery over emotion is not about avoiding feelings. It's about controlling them so they don't control us. Let me give you an example. Think about a time when someone cut you off in traffic. Immediately, you might feel anger or frustration. You might even feel your heart race and your fist clench. The reaction is almost automatic. But now, consider a different response. What if, instead of immediately reacting, you took a deep breath, acknowledged the frustration, and then reminded yourself that the other person's actions have no power over you? What if you realized that the only thing you control in this moment is how you respond? This is where Stoicism comes into play. The Stoics believe that emotions like anger, jealousy, or sadness arise when we perceive that something is threatening our happiness or peace of mind. They are reactions to our expectations or desires. We expect things to go a certain way, and when they don't, we feel hurt, angry, or disappointed. But here's the truth. We don't have to let our expectations rule us. Instead, the Stoics propose that we focus on what we can control, our own thoughts and actions. We can control our judgments, our decisions, and how we respond to the world around us. But everything else, how others act, what the weather is like, the circumstances we find ourselves in, are beyond our control. And so, the first step in mastering emotion is understanding that it's not the external event that causes our suffering. It's our judgment of that event. Seneca, another great Stoic philosopher, wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." What did he mean by this? He meant that many of our fears and anxieties come not from actual events, but from the stories we tell ourselves about those events. We imagine the worst possible outcome, and then our emotions follow. But if we can break free from these imagined fears and focus on what is real, on what we can control, our emotional response shifts. We become more resilient, more focused, and more peaceful. Now, let's turn to the role of self-awareness. To master our emotions, we must first become aware of them. It sounds simple, but in practice, it's challenging. Emotions often arise so quickly and strongly that we don't even realize they are happening until we've already reacted. This is where the power of self-reflection comes in. Stoics like Marcus Aurelius practiced daily reflection. Each day, they would take time to look back on their thoughts and actions. They would ask themselves, where did I react impulsively? Why did I feel anger or fear? How could I have responded differently? This daily reflection helps us build self-awareness and understand the patterns in our emotional responses. The more we understand our emotions, the more control we have over them. It's also important to understand that emotions are not inherently bad. Anger, sadness, fear, they all have their place. But what makes them destructive is when we let them control us. When we respond with impulse, when we let our emotions dictate our actions without stopping to think, that's when we fall into chaos. The Stoics didn't teach us to rid ourselves of all emotions. Instead, they taught us to respond wisely. The Stoic practice of distancing ourselves from our emotions can be a powerful tool. When we feel a surge of anger or anxiety, we can learn to take a step back. We can ask ourselves, what is the underlying cause of this emotion? Often, we'll find that it's tied to a desire or expectation that's been unmet. We wanted something to happen, and it didn't. But the Stoics teach us that we don't need things to go our way in order to find peace. Peace comes from within, not from the world around us. Consider how often we spend our lives reacting to things we can't control: an insult, a criticism, an unexpected change. These events stir up our emotions, but they don't define us unless we allow them to. This is the core of Stoic wisdom. Our happiness does not depend on external events, but on our internal responses. To gain mastery over emotion, we must also cultivate fortitude, the strength to remain steady in the face of hardship. Life will not always be easy. People will disappoint us. Plans will fall apart. But in those moments, the Stoic response is not to panic or succumb to despair. Instead, we remind ourselves that difficulty is part of life, and it's not the challenge that matters, it's how we meet it. Fortitude in Stoicism is not about denying your feelings, but about choosing to rise above them. It's about facing the storm with calm, knowing that we cannot control the weather, but we can control how we sail through it. It's about maintaining a sense of calm even when the world around us is anything but calm. One of the most powerful Stoic practices is the idea of viewing obstacles as opportunities. Every difficulty we face is a chance to practice our resilience, to grow stronger, and to master ourselves. When we shift our perspective, we begin to see challenges not as threats but as opportunities for growth. Remember the words of Epictetus: "No man is free who is not master of himself." In the end, true freedom lies not in the ability to control everything around us, but in the ability to control our own reactions, thoughts, and emotions. This is the path to a life of true strength and happiness. The journey to mastery over emotion is not an easy one, but it is a rewarding one. It requires patience, practice, and self-discipline. But as you begin to implement these Stoic practices, pausing before reacting, reflecting on your emotions, and choosing calm over impulse, you will find yourself becoming more centered, more peaceful, and more in control of your life. The emotions will still come, but they will no longer rule you. You will have the power to choose how to respond, and in that power lies true freedom. So, let us not be ruled by our emotions. Let us be the masters of them. Let us face each day with a calm mind, a resilient spirit, and an unwavering commitment to living with strength and wisdom. This is the path of the Stoic, and it is the path to true happiness. Living by nature, the Stoic compass. To understand Stoicism and its power, one of the most important lessons is to live by nature. But what does this mean? It's not about retreating into a forest or following some mystical way of life. To live by nature means aligning yourself with the natural flow of the world, understanding your true purpose, and embracing the reality of life as it is, rather than how you wish it would be. Let me ask you this. Have you ever tried to swim against the current? You know, when you're struggling against something you can't control, thinking that sheer force will make things change? It's exhausting, isn't it? But when you let go, when you stop fighting the current, you start to flow with it. That's what it means to live by nature, to stop fighting what you can't change and to focus your energy on what you can. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Man is not worried by real problems so much as by his imagined anxieties about real problems." This is the essence of living by nature. Nature isn't about worrying over things you cannot change, but about focusing on your own actions, thoughts, and responses. Think about it for a moment. How often do we get caught up in the web of life, trying to control things beyond our reach? The weather, other people's actions, circumstances we can't influence. And yet, we waste so much of our energy trying to bend them to our will. Nature teaches us that there are things we can control, and those things are our thoughts, our reactions, and our attitude. And there are things we cannot control: the weather, the actions of others, and the flow of events that happen around us. The Stoics believe that true peace comes from understanding this divide and learning to accept it. It's about focusing on yourself, on what you can do, and leaving the rest to unfold as it will. Think of a tree. A tree grows not by forcing its roots into the soil, but by allowing itself to take root where it is. It doesn't try to grow outside of its nature. It grows as it is meant to, with patience, allowing time and seasons to shape it. This is how we should live. Instead of forcing ourselves to fit into a mold we were never meant for, we should find peace in who we truly are and allow our nature to guide us. The concept of living by nature also ties deeply into the Stoic understanding of virtue. In Stoicism, the idea of virtue is closely connected to living according to nature, being true to our human nature and embracing the principles that define us. We were born to be rational, to think clearly, and to act with wisdom. When we live by nature, we live in alignment with our rational minds, our sense of justice, and our desire for self-improvement. But in a world where distractions pull us in every direction, where we are constantly bombarded by expectations, opinions, and demands, living by nature can seem like a difficult task. Yet, in the wisdom of Stoic thought, it's simple. Focus on your own actions, your own virtue, and let go of the need to control the external world. The Stoics didn't reject the world. They simply understood what parts of it they had power over. They embraced life, with all its challenges, because they knew that by living according to nature, they would remain steadfast and peaceful. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most well-known Stoic philosophers, repeatedly reminded himself to live in harmony with the universe. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside of it. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the core of living by nature, realizing that we cannot change everything, but we can change how we respond to everything. And it's in this shift that we find our true strength. The beauty of living by nature is that it allows you to stop chasing illusions. We live in a world that often makes us feel like we need more possessions, more status, more success. But when we live by nature, we realize that the most important thing is not what we accumulate, but who we become. This is where true happiness lies. It's in the wisdom of living according to nature, of embracing simplicity, and of understanding that peace comes from within, not from external achievements. Now, imagine for a moment a life where you don't constantly strive for things that don't bring you fulfillment. A life where you let go of the need to impress others, to live up to someone else's expectations, or to chase after things you don't truly want. Imagine living a life where you focus on what is truly within your control, your thoughts, your actions, your emotions, and let go of everything else. This is what it means to live by nature. You might ask, how does this relate to daily life? It's simple. Every time you face a challenge, every time something in life doesn't go the way you want, ask yourself, is this within my control? If it is, then take action with purpose. If it's not, then let it go. The key here is not to allow external events to define your happiness or sense of worth. The Stoic approach teaches us that happiness comes from within, and true happiness is found in aligning ourselves with our deeper, rational nature. In living by nature, we begin to understand that life is not a race. It's not about trying to get somewhere or achieve something. It's about being present, fully engaged with the moment, and allowing things to unfold naturally, while you stay grounded in your virtue. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. By aligning with nature, we stop wasting time. We begin to live intentionally, with purpose, with strength, and with the wisdom to accept whatever comes our way. This way of living doesn't promise that life will be without difficulty, far from it. But it does promise that you will approach every difficulty with clarity, calm, and inner strength. You will face the challenges of life not with fear or frustration, but with the confidence that you have the power to control how you respond. So, what can we take away from this? First, living by nature is about aligning with the flow of life, not fighting against it. It's about embracing who you are, focusing on what you can control, and letting go of everything else. It's about accepting that the world is beyond your control, but your mind, your actions, and your choices are yours to shape. When you live by nature, you live with peace. You stop wasting energy on things that don't matter. You start to see the world not as something to conquer, but as something to understand. And in that understanding, you find a happiness that is not dependent on external circumstances, but is rooted deeply in your own rational mind, your virtue, and your acceptance of the world as it is. This is the Stoic way. This is the path to a life that is truly lived. Living by nature, the Stoic compass. In a world that is constantly pushing us to become something we're not, to chase things that don't matter, there's a question that often goes unasked. What is our true nature? Have you ever wondered why we feel so lost, so disconnected, even in the middle of everything we think we want? It's because we've forgotten what it means to live in harmony with nature, our true nature. The Stoics believed that to live a good life, we must align ourselves with nature. And when we say nature, we're not just talking about trees or oceans, but the very essence of what it means to be human. Our emotions, our minds, and our actions must be rooted in a deep understanding of who we are and what we're meant to do on this earth. This doesn't mean we should live disconnected from the world around us. It means we should learn to see ourselves as part of it, as part of a larger whole, as creatures governed by reason and virtue. But what does it mean to live in accordance with nature? It means to act with virtue and to pursue things that bring us closer to our true selves. It means we must be mindful of our actions, not merely reacting to what happens around us, but responding thoughtfully. The Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius, believed that our greatest power lies in our ability to choose how we respond to the events in our lives. We don't control the world around us, but we do control our own minds. And if we live according to nature, with wisdom and self-control, we can find peace even in the most difficult situations. Let's break this down. Think about how often you felt frustrated or upset by things that happened to you: traffic, an argument, an unexpected change of plans. These things seem like they have the power to ruin our days, don't they? But if we understand the nature of things, we can begin to see that they don't have to control us. Traffic isn't something that can decide how our day will go. An argument doesn't have the power to strip away our peace of mind. These things are external, and our reaction to them is what truly matters. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This simple truth is the foundation of living in accordance with nature. The world around us will always be chaotic, unpredictable, and beyond our control. But how we respond to it, that is where our power lies. When we align ourselves with our true nature, we recognize that we are not slaves to external circumstances. We are free to choose how we react, and in that choice, we find the key to our happiness. Living by nature also means recognizing the impermanence of life. The Stoics believe that everything in life is temporary: our possessions, our relationships, our very lives. Nothing lasts forever, and yet we often cling to things as if they will. We chase after wealth, fame, success, and all the other external things that promise happiness, only to realize that they are fleeting. When we live in accordance with nature, we begin to understand that true happiness doesn't come from these temporary things. It comes from within, from living a life of virtue, reason, and self-mastery. This doesn't mean we should withdraw from the world and seek to live in isolation. On the contrary, the Stoics encouraged us to engage with the world, but to do so with wisdom and clarity. We should seek to contribute to society, build meaningful relationships, and live with purpose. But we should do so knowing that our true happiness doesn't depend on these external factors. When we align ourselves with nature, we let go of the need for approval, success, and material gain, and instead focus on what truly matters, living with integrity, kindness, and wisdom. In the ancient world, there were great Stoic leaders who embodied these principles. Take Marcus Aurelius, for example. He was a Roman emperor, a man of immense power, yet he remained grounded in Stoic philosophy throughout his life. Despite his high status, he understood that true happiness didn't come from wealth or power. Instead, he found peace in living in accordance with nature, acting with virtue, making wise decisions, and controlling his emotions. In his meditations, Marcus Aurelius repeatedly reminded himself to live in harmony with nature, to let go of his attachments, and to focus on what he could control, his own mind. Another Stoic philosopher, Seneca, often spoke about the importance of living in accordance with nature. He believed that the wise person recognizes that life is short and that time should be spent wisely. He said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." By living according to nature, we don't waste time chasing after things that don't truly bring us happiness. We focus on the present moment, we cultivate our inner virtues, and we let go of our attachment to things that are beyond our control. But how can we apply these Stoic principles in our daily lives? The first step is to recognize that we are not separate from nature. We are part of it. The Stoics believe that we are all connected, that our actions have consequences, and that we must act with reason and virtue in order to live a good life. This means paying attention to our emotions, thoughts, and actions, in choosing to act in ways that align with our highest values. It means practicing mindfulness, being present in the moment, and making decisions based on wisdom, not impulse. In practical terms, this might mean stepping back from a stressful situation and asking yourself, what is within my control here? How can I respond with wisdom, rather than reacting with anger or frustration? It means accepting that not everything will go according to plan, but that this is a natural part of life. It means practicing gratitude for what we have, rather than constantly longing for what we don't have. And it means living in a way that honors our true nature, acting with integrity, cultivating inner peace, and choosing to live in harmony with the world around us. The Stoics also emphasize the importance of self-discipline. To live in accordance with nature, we must learn to control our desires and impulses. We must recognize that not everything we want is good for us, and that true happiness doesn't come from indulging in every desire that arises. Instead, we learn to cultivate self-control, to choose what is truly beneficial for our well-being, and to act in ways that align with our highest values. The Stoics understood that life is full of challenges and hardships, but they also understood that these challenges are opportunities for growth. When we live according to nature, we don't see adversity as something to fear or avoid. Instead, we see it as an opportunity to practice resilience, to strengthen our character, and to grow in wisdom. Every challenge, every obstacle, is a chance to become more aligned with our true nature, to act with virtue and reason, and to respond with calmness and strength. In the end, living by nature is about recognizing that happiness doesn't come from external circumstances, but from within. It's about aligning our thoughts, actions, and emotions with the principles of virtue, wisdom, and self-control. When we live in this way, we find that we are no longer slaves to the chaos of the world around us. We are free to live a life of purpose, peace, and true happiness. And that, in the end, is the Stoic way, the way of living in harmony with nature, of embracing our true selves, and of finding joy in the present moment. Endurance as glory, turning pain into power. Life, as we know it, is full of hardship. No one is immune to pain, struggle, or adversity. It's the truth we must face, whether we like it or not. But what if I told you that the very thing we often fear, the pain, the obstacles, the challenges, holds the key to our greatest strength? What if I told you that within the crucible of suffering, we can forge a kind of power that leads to not just survival, but to glory? Endurance, in the Stoic sense, is not about simply getting through life's difficulties. It is about embracing them, accepting them, and finding strength in them. It's about becoming the kind of person who, when faced with hardship, doesn't buckle or break under pressure, but instead grows stronger. The Stoics knew that pain was inevitable. It's what you do with it that defines you. The ancient Stoic philosopher, Epictetus, taught us that we must not seek for events to happen as you want them to, but instead want them to happen as they do. In other words, we are not in control of the challenges that life throws at us, but we have full control over how we respond. Pain is a part of life, it comes and goes, but our reaction to it shapes who we become. Consider this. How many times have you faced a challenge that seemed impossible to overcome? A situation that felt like it would crush you, whether it was a personal loss, a failure at work, or a betrayal from someone you trusted. And yet, after some time, didn't you find that you were stronger for having faced that very challenge? Didn't you learn something about yourself that you could not have learned otherwise? The key is endurance. Endurance does not mean being invincible or pretending that pain doesn't hurt. It means accepting that pain is a part of life, and rather than trying to escape it, you embrace it. You learn from it. You grow because of it. And, ultimately, you rise above it. There's a story that the Stoics love to tell. It's about the famous Greek philosopher, Socrates. Known for his wisdom, Socrates was once arrested and sentenced to death. He was forced to drink poison, a punishment handed down by the Athenian authorities. What's remarkable about Socrates' death is not that he faced it bravely, but how he faced it. Instead of resisting the inevitable, he accepted it. He did not cry or beg for his life. He didn't even show anger toward those who condemned him. Instead, he embraced his fate with a calm and clear mind, demonstrating the ultimate endurance. In his final moments, Socrates showed us what true endurance looks like. It wasn't about enduring the death sentence itself. It was about enduring life with all its unfairness, its difficulties, and still finding peace within. He didn't react to his fate with bitterness or fear. He remained centered, steadfast, and serene in the face of pain. This is the Stoic ideal, transforming suffering into power, facing adversity with inner strength and dignity. We, too, are called to this endurance. Life is hard. and it will test us in ways we can't predict. We will all face pain, loss, failure, and betrayal. But the Stoics remind us that these are not things to fear. In fact, they are the very things that shape our character and strengthen our will. It's not the events themselves that matter, but how we respond to them. Look at the most successful people in history. Look at the greatest leaders, the strongest athletes, the most influential philosophers. What do they all have in common? It's not their intelligence or their luck. It's their ability to endure. They are not immune to pain. They've simply learned how to face it with resilience. In the face of adversity, we must ask ourselves, will we choose to be crushed by the weight of life, or will we rise stronger, more resilient, more determined than ever before? Will we allow our pain to break us, or will we use it to forge a new and better version of ourselves? Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers and a Roman emperor, once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This means that obstacles are not just things to be avoided. They are opportunities in disguise. When we face difficulties, we have the chance to become stronger, more focused, more compassionate. The very thing that stands in our way can be the very thing that leads us forward if we approach it with the right mindset. Pain teaches us valuable lessons. It teaches us about our limitations, but it also teaches us about our potential. Through endurance, we begin to realize that we are capable of far more than we think. We learn that we are not fragile creatures, easily broken by hardship, but powerful beings capable of enduring the toughest of storms. This endurance does not come naturally. It requires practice. It requires self-discipline. It requires the willingness to face discomfort head-on, knowing that it is not the pain that defines us, but our ability to rise above it. Each time we endure, we build strength. And, like a muscle, the more we use it, the stronger it becomes. Think about the times in your life when you faced a challenge that pushed you to your limits. Perhaps it was a moment of loss, a failure that felt like the end of the road, or a situation where you felt completely powerless. Now, think about how you handled that moment. Did you give up, or did you push through? Did you accept the pain, learn from it, and continue forward? If you endured, you became stronger. And if you didn't, well, there's still time. The Stoic path is always open to us, no matter where we are in life. Endurance can be cultivated at any moment, in any situation. It is a mindset, a choice. We can choose to see our struggles as opportunities for growth, as chances to become better, stronger, and wiser. We are all capable of this endurance. It is not a gift reserved for a select few, but a power that resides in each of us, waiting to be unlocked. The question is, are you ready to face life's challenges with strength, grace, and resilience? Are you willing to embrace pain not as a burden, but as a path to glory? When you endure, you transform. When you endure, you grow. And through endurance, you find your true power. This is the path of Stoicism, accepting life's hardships with open arms, turning pain into power, and rising stronger every time you fall. So, the next time life throws a challenge your way, remember this. It is not the obstacle that defines you, but how you choose to meet it. Do you face it with fear and resistance, or do you embrace it with the fortitude of a Stoic? The power is yours to claim. The mirror of death, how mortality liberates. Imagine standing in front of a mirror, but this isn't an ordinary mirror. It's the mirror of your life, but instead of simply reflecting your image, it shows you the one thing we all tend to avoid, the inevitable end. This mirror shows you death. It may sound grim, even uncomfortable. After all, who wants to think about death? We often push the thought away as though it's something to fear, something that has no place in our daily lives. But in the quiet moments when we pause, when we really look at the world around us, we cannot deny it. Death is part of the equation. It's as inevitable as the changing seasons, as sure as the sun rises and sets. But here's where the Stoic perspective changes everything. Instead of seeing death as something to fear, the Stoics invite us to see it as a tool, a mirror that reflects the truth of our lives. In his Meditations, Marcus Aurelius famously wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." What does this mean? It means that when we embrace the reality of our mortality, we are freed. Free from the distractions, the petty concerns, and the unnecessary struggles that fill our daily lives. Free to live more fully, more authentically, and with greater purpose. The fact that our time is limited gives us an urgency to focus on what truly matters, to make every moment count. It means that we can no longer afford to waste time on trivialities, on things we cannot control, or on things that do not bring us closer to our true selves. We realize that the clock is ticking, and in that recognition, we are liberated. The fear of death, instead of paralyzing us, becomes the key to living a fuller, richer life. Let's consider an example. Imagine someone spends their entire life accumulating wealth, chasing power, or seeking fame, believing these are the things that will give their life meaning. They think that by surrounding themselves with things and status, they are living the good life. But if they were to face the mirror of death, what would they see? What would they have left? At the end of their journey, what value do these things have? In the face of death, all that wealth and status vanish. It is only the quality of the life lived, the relationships, the moments of integrity, the peace of mind that endure. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, tells us that death is not something to be feared, but something to be accepted. In his essay on the shortness of life, he writes, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." The truth here is profound. We have been given a finite amount of time, and yet we squander so much of it on things that do not matter. If we constantly live in fear of death, we allow ourselves to be paralyzed, always putting off our true desires and actions for some later time that may never come. By accepting death as an inevitable companion, we do not live in fear, but in awareness. We live with clarity. We are reminded daily that the moments we have are precious, and we must use them wisely. We no longer waste time on regret or fear of the future, because we understand that both are beyond our control. What we can control is how we choose to spend our time, whether we choose to live in alignment with our values, our purpose, and our true self. The wisdom of the Stoics tells us that when we live as though death could come at any moment, we are free to live more fully. This doesn't mean we live in a state of constant anxiety about our end, but rather that we live with a deep appreciation for what we have now. We no longer take life for granted, and we begin to see each day as an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to become the person we are meant to be. Death also teaches us the value of our relationships. We may hold grudges, argue over trivial matters, or leave things unsaid, thinking there will always be time to make things right. But death reminds us that time is not guaranteed. The words we leave unsaid, the apologies we never make, the love we never express, these are lost opportunities. In the face of death, we realize the importance of the present moment. We understand that the people in our lives are our most precious treasures, and that each interaction, each moment of kindness matters. One of the most powerful lessons death teaches us is that it strips away all illusions. It is the great equalizer, reminding us that in the end, none of us are immune to its arrival. Whether we are rich or poor, famous or unknown, death does not care. It shows us that the external things we chase are fleeting, and that true contentment comes not from wealth or status, but from within. From living a life of virtue, from acting with integrity, and from aligning our actions with our values. It is easy to be distracted by the noise of the world, the endless pursuit of more, the desire to keep up with others, the pressure to succeed. But when we face the reality of death, we are reminded that none of these things matter in the long run. The only thing that matters is the life we live today. How we choose to act, how we treat others, how we face our challenges. These are the things that define us, not the empty accolades or material possessions we collect along the way. Death also teaches us the importance of resilience. It is inevitable, and therefore, we must learn to live with it, not as something to be feared, but as a reminder to be strong. The Stoics teach us that our strength lies not in avoiding pain, not in running from hardship, but in embracing life fully, knowing that death is a part of it. Our true power is in our ability to remain calm, to remain steady, and to remain virtuous, no matter what happens. If we can accept that death is coming for us all, we can stop wasting time on things that don't matter. We can focus on living a life that is meaningful, on the things that bring us true peace, and on the relationships that matter. We can choose to be present, to be grateful, and to be strong in the face of whatever comes our way. In the end, death is not something to fear. It is the mirror that reveals to us what truly matters. And when we live in full awareness of this truth, we find freedom. Freedom from the distractions, freedom from the fear, and freedom to live the life we are meant to live. So let us not wait until the end of our lives to realize this truth. Let us face the mirror of death today, and let it guide us to live with intention, with purpose, and with clarity. For in the face of death, we are truly free. The brotherhood of reason, we walk together. There is a truth that we must confront. The journey towards inner peace, self-control, and happiness is not one we walk alone. The world around us may seem isolated at times, but as Stoics, we know that we are part of something greater than ourselves. We are connected, bound by the same human struggles and the same desire for a better life. The Stoic path is not one of isolation. It is one of unity, brotherhood, and shared wisdom. The Stoics teach us that we are all part of a larger, rational order. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, once wrote, "What is not good for the swarm, neither is it good for the bee." This simple statement holds a profound truth. Just as a bee cannot live in isolation from the hive, we cannot live in isolation from the greater human community. In the same way, the Stoic practices we embrace, self-discipline, courage, and wisdom, are not for our benefit alone. They are for the benefit of all. In the chaos of modern life, we often forget the power of human connection. We get lost in the noise of competition, comparison, and self-interest. But the Stoic perspective offers us a path of connection, one where we strive not only for personal virtue but for the well-being of others. The true Stoic does not live in isolation, locked away in their own thoughts. They walk alongside others, helping them to carry the weight of their burdens, sharing in their triumphs and struggles. We are all part of a larger whole, a network of individuals interconnected by our shared humanity. We are brothers and sisters on this journey, each facing our own challenges and learning from our experiences. But the beauty of Stoicism is that it teaches us that no matter how difficult the path may seem, we do not have to face it alone. We are supported by the wisdom of those who have come before us, and we, in turn, can offer our wisdom to those who will come after. The Stoic virtues, wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, are not just individual traits. They are also communal traits. To live a Stoic life is to live a life of service to others. The Stoic philosopher is not someone who retreats from the world, but rather someone who embraces it with clarity and purpose. They seek to improve themselves, not for personal gain, but for the benefit of all those they encounter. Wisdom teaches us how to understand the world around us, how to see beyond our personal desires, and how to act with reason and compassion. But wisdom is not enough on its own. It must be paired with courage, the strength to face life's difficulties, to stand firm in our convictions, and to do what is right, even when it is hard. Justice calls us to treat others with fairness, to seek the good of the whole community, and to contribute to the common good. And temperance reminds us to practice moderation, to avoid excess, and to live a life of balance and restraint. These virtues, when practiced collectively, create a society that is not driven by selfishness or greed, but by a shared commitment to the well-being of all. In this society, we do not look at others as competitors or enemies, but as fellow travelers on the same journey. We recognize that our happiness is intertwined with the happiness of others, and that our actions, no matter how small, have the power to impact the world around us. Imagine a world where everyone practices Stoic principles. A world where people respond to adversity with calm and reason, where they prioritize the common good over personal gain, where they are compassionate and just in their interactions with others. It may seem like a distant dream, but it is a dream worth striving for. And it begins with each of us walking the Stoic path, not in isolation, but as part of a larger community. As we walk this path together, we must remember that Stoicism is not about perfection, it is about progress. It is about striving each day to be a little better than we were yesterday, to show a little more kindness, to act with a little more wisdom. We are not called to be flawless, but to be persistent. We are not called to avoid failure, but to learn from it and grow stronger. The Stoic life is not easy. It requires discipline, patience, and a willingness to face discomfort. But it also offers rewards that are worth the effort: inner peace, self-mastery, and the ability to navigate the complexities of life with clarity and purpose. And as we walk this path, we are not alone. We walk alongside others who share our commitment to living virtuously, to seeking wisdom, and to contributing to the common good. Together, we form a brotherhood of reason, a community bound not by blood, but by our shared commitment to living according to nature and reason. In this brotherhood, we find strength, support, and encouragement. We help each other when we stumble, we celebrate each other's successes, and we learn from each other's mistakes. This is the power of Stoicism, the power to transform not only ourselves, but the world around us. When we live according to the Stoic virtues, we become better individuals, and we help to create a better world. It may seem like a small change, but it is a change that ripples out, affecting everyone we encounter and inspiring others to follow our example. The Stoic path is a journey of self-discovery and self-mastery, but it is also a journey of connection. As we work to improve ourselves, we also work to improve the world around us. And in the end, it is not our individual achievements that matter most, but the impact we have on others, the legacy we leave behind in the hearts and minds of those we touch. So let us walk this path together. Let us embrace the Stoic virtues, not for our own sake, but for the sake of all. Let us strive to live lives of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Let us support each other, learn from each other, and grow together. And let us remember that in this journey, we are never truly alone. For in the end, we are all part of the same human family, bound together by our shared struggles and our shared desire for a better life. And as Stoics, we know that when we walk this path with reason and virtue, we are walking in the right direction, not only towards personal happiness, but towards the happiness of all. We are stronger together. We are wiser together. And together, we can live the Stoic life, a life of peace, purpose, and lasting happiness.